first thing about dopamine is you have to understand the habit cycle. The habit cycle is a cycle that gets you to do any type of dopamine fulfilling activity, right? So the first part of the habit cycle is the cue. The cue is, if you're a weed smoker, it's having weed in your room. It's wrapper paper. It's blunt paper. It's music. It could be anything that cues you to want to get to the action. Okay. If you're an alcoholic, it could be bottles in the crib. If you're a porn addict, it could be your phone. It could be TikTok showing you a whole bunch of ass videos. It could be anything. So you have to be aware of the cue, right? Now, the next part of this is craving that occurs after you see the cue. And this is the part that everybody's going to be at, even when you detox. And this is what separates a person who is doing successful on their detox and not doing successful on their detox. Okay. So when you're trying to detox from dopamine, you have to understand that you're going to have to fight this part of the habit cycle the most, the craving of the thing you want. And this is going to happen all day the first time you detox, all day the second day, all day the third day, the fourth day it gets better, the fifth day it becomes easier, the sixth day it becomes easier, and by the seventh day of resisting those cravings, this is when you start to find dopamine in normal during the day activities, and you're not going to be craving things that you used to usually want. Okay. Because what happens is, if you give into this craving, that leads you to the action. And what happens is your confidence starts to drop and you get that reward. And once you get that reward, you're just right back in the cycle of doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And this is what most people do literally all day. They'll cue, craving, action, reward. Alcoholic thinks a alcoholic, sees bottle, craves, drinks, gets drunk. Sees bottle, craves, drinks, gets drunk. Same thing with you if you're a porn addict. You go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you got the cue. Now you're craving watching porn. Then you watch porn, action. Then you get the reward of watching porn, which is you release. And now you're just going to repeat the cycle because your confidence dropped. The most important thing is you have to understand that this part of the habit cycle is where you have to fight. This is where your willpower has to come in. This is where you have to understand that you have to run away from this part, because this is going to happen all day. And it's easier to understand how to get rid of a bad habit if you understand what's going on. Stop looking at it as it's just something that some people are just born with and some people are not born with. You have to look at it scientifically. Okay, I had a cue to, let's say, smoke weed. I've seen somebody smoking weed outside. It made me want to get a craving. Now I'm in the craving stage of the habitual cycle that's going to lead to the dopamine fulfilling thing that I'm trying to get. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to relax. I'm not going to fall into my craving and I'm going to stay here. I'm just not going to do it, because if you give into this craving, you're going to go right back to what you were doing. And this is what most people do, and they don't even realize that. Okay. And this is what I do. I used to do this all the time. Okay. So just understand that you are going to have to fight this craving stage. Now, how do you make the craving stage a lot easier? You have to get rid of this first step. As many of these first steps as you get rid of, the easier this stage will be. So whatever cues you have in your life, get rid of. The simplest of things that you can control, that is a cue, get rid of. If you have an environment of friends who smoke, get rid of them. If you have an environment of friends who do things that you know is going to lead you going back into that thing that you're trying to break, get rid of them. If you have wrapping paper, if you have an Instagram feed or a TikTok feed or a Twitter feed or a Reddit feed that is very, very sexual, change your algorithm or delete your social media. You have to take drastic actions in order to have drastic results. That's why in the Bible it says, if your right hand causes you to sin, your right eye causes you to sin, then cut it off. That doesn't mean decapitate or get rid of your eye. That means get rid of the cue. Get rid of the cue. You have too many cues causing you to fall right back into that action and making it easier for your cravings to increase. It's cue, craving, action, reward. That's all you're going through on a daily basis. That's all everybody's going through. They're just craving and getting in action. And they don't realize that they're just doing this over and over again. So they just keep doing it all day. So once you get to this craving stage, this is where you have to understand. This is where you fight. This is where discipline comes in. This is where willpower in. This craving stage is what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. Because successful people don't allow their cravings to dictate their actions. The unsuccessful people allow their cravings to dictate their actions. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is anything cheap entertainment, weed, porn, alcohol, sugar, right? When you're consuming a lot of this stuff and you have no control over it, it makes regular everyday life boring. So that means something as simple as going to the grocery store makes you frustrated. Going to work makes you frustrated because you're consuming too much of this, right? And when you do that, what happens? Regular everyday life gets depressing. And this is why you're depressed. And when you get depressed, it's going to lead you right back up here. Now, when that happens, this cycle, you start to look to figure things out from a doctor. That doctor does not tell you to get rid of this. He's never going to say that. He's going to give you a pill. That pill is going to make you reliant on your happiness. Now, when you're relying on a pill for happiness, this part gets even worse. You get even more depressed, and it's going to lead you here even more, and you're going to get even more addicted, and you're going to get more addicted to the pill. Even worse, you don't have enough or you can't afford the pill no more. Now you look towards harder drugs. And this is why people become drug addicts. And this is just a cycle that people are going through on a daily basis.